All right, Alex, I'm excited to hear one, where you were before the Warrior Dad experience, and then two, what was the trigger to jump in?
Yeah, in some ways, it's a little bit of a difficult question. Um, but I would say that I was a really, really good dad before, very thoughtful, but just spread way too darn thin trying to build a big business and kind of parlaying that into your second part of your question on how what I saw to decide to jump in. You wrote a LinkedIn note that said, "Are you trying to build a big business?" It felt like you said, "Do you get a lot of thoughtful mentorship and resources and books that cater toward being a better business person?" But you want to be the dad of the year, basically, and you're not getting a whole lot of support or resources to accomplish that at the same time. How do you thread the needle? What are you going to do to actually accomplish that goal? And I was like, what does this guy have to offer? So I asked for a Zoom call 11 a.m. the next day, and it happened. And I was like, sign me up before you were halfway done with your pitch. Um, so I think I went from a good dad who was so stressed out to an even better, more intentional dad who's less stressed out, more stable, that is reprioritize his life. And it was tweaks around the edges that got me there. And I think that that's my answer. It's just a more stable, sustainable, through ups and downs type of person that can accomplish with my dad and corporate goals. And of course, as a spouse, my wife.
Gotcha. And I know you mentioned through the experience, I remember a text exchange where you were like, this is the system. Like I found the system to manage it all. And I know you had in the beginning, as you were changing, maybe a little resistance on the family front, but I know through the 10 weeks, it kind of came full circle. So explain that a little bit.
Yeah, that's a great question. Good memory. I think my text to you was I've been waiting for the pin to drop. So routinistically, when I leave the state for a while for business, which happens, if I do that 3 weeks in a row as opposed to 1 week in a row or two, and I miss a couple soccer practice and I'm coming home too late, and I've got a couple things back at home that I have to do at nighttime when I finally do make it back home. On top of all the kid stuff, the pin usually drops, and there will be an argument with the spouse, a moment with the kids where I have like a negative moment where I'm not proud of. And it was weird. It's like that had been happening for so many years in a row. I knew it was about to happen. And then one day after the other kept on going. And I finally took a moment to think about it. I was like, why hasn't it happened yet? This is the weirdest thing. And I was like, oh, because I'm finally stable. It's not going to happen, is the thought. And so I texted you in that moment, like, I don't know why I wasn't smart enough to know that it wasn't going to happen and things had changed. It was an aha moment that things had finally changed.
And then, from a focus energy perspective, I know you bring energy. I love your energy that you bring on a daily basis, but how is it now that you're intentionally stepping into the best version of yourself every day with the system? How's that energy transferred over to your kids and the whole family?
Yeah, well, I mean, you always say lead by example. Everyone knows what that means. And it's a cliche that I think gets forgotten what its real purpose is a lot. But I'm like back to understand what lead by example is. So the kids are seeing me drink water. The kids are seeing me write notes. The kids are seeing me talk about love and bonds and family and relationships and doing better every single day, as opposed to sort of like drifting through the life of a pretty good person. And they are just learning quicker. It's like the difference between part-time school and full-time school, I think, is sort of an analogy. And they're full-time, they're learning faster. I think that's it. They're seeing me do it and they understand how to do it because they get to see someone. It's visual learning and verbal learning in every day. That's the difference. And so they're picking it up. They're kids. They're 7, 5, 4, 7, 5, 4, and 2. And they're already doing stuff that certainly I would have never done at those ages because of the last 10 weeks.
Yeah, no, I love that piece. So if someone's on the fence of saying, should I do the Warrior Dad experience? Shouldn't I do it? What would be your advice?
Ask Jeff, honestly, because I'm trying to get I've bought into your mission, Jeff, and I want to help 1 million dads. I think it's more like helping 2.5 million kids by 2050. And so there's people that I care a lot about that I'm trying to introduce to at least get to talk to you. And the first person who I think needs to do it the most yesterday said, now is not the right time. I don't even get to physically see my kids enough to be imparting that lead by example wisdom. And I just started smiling. You're the biggest candidate of someone that needs to talk to Jeff, like on an emergency basis, because of what you just said. So I don't really remember your specific question, but I would just say, look, if you're trying to thread the needle and you've got big goals to be a perfect parent or strive for that excellence, and you're really busy at work, unless you're doing extraordinarily well, you're probably not realizing how hard your goal is going to be to achieve if you don't have a very stable foundation. And Jeff's program is providing that stability. I've done 1,000 things. I've read all the books, I've all the podcasts. I've done what everyone else maybe who might be listening to this has done. I'm telling you, I have. And this brought more stability than any of that by 10x.
Man, thanks for that feedback. Love it, my man, and appreciate your work, hard work, leadership. Your family feels it, man. So great job.
Yeah, man. Thank you.